This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Oh, hello.
You know, some whack job can say this stuff and get away with it?
No world leader has ever attended an American inauguration since 1874, according to State Department records, but that won't stop the Conservative Party from accusing Keir Starmer of abandoning his duty by not going there. No! Thanks a lot, Keir. Foreign ambassadors and their spouses typically represent the governments at the event. It is unprecedented for foreign leaders to attend inaugurations because world leaders wouldn't be afforded the pageantry that is typical of their visits to Washington, D.C. They won't be hearing their special song. Oh. It's actually quite beautiful, isn't it? And the other reason is that their attendance would be seen as a requirement to curry favour and prove loyalty to President-elect Trump. You know, Mango Mussolini.
Don't be rude.
So there aren't going to be artists, though, at the Trump inauguration. There's going to be several balls. And Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Stevie Wonder, the Rolling Stones, just some of the artists who won't be there. They will not be serenading Felonious Skunk. But those who are appearing will be at the many Trump-branded events. Tickets on sale. Get yours now to avoid disappointment. There's the Make America Great Again rally for people who don't think America is great anymore, which sounds pretty unpatriotic to me. There's Kid Rock, who sounds like how you'd send a baby to sleep. Kid Rock is a tattooed yeehaw and looks like his address is no fixed abode. There's the village people who have spent the last few years telling everyone they're not gay and that YMCA is not a song about guys hooking up at the gym, which means they're probably the most misunderstood artists in the history of music, because I definitely thought they were, and it was. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, there's the bloke who sang Achy Breaky Heart. He's going to be there.
Oh, no.
Oi. And there's the swearing-in ceremony on Monday at which Carrie Underwood, I think she's a country star who won America's Got Talent or something, Rascal Flatts, which sounds like a comfortable shoe, but is probably a country star who did not win America's Got Talent, and Lee Greenwood will sing God Bless America, which sounds like a demand rather than a forlorn hope. And then there's the Liberty Ball, at which the village people will be there again, because there's no such thing as too much YMCA. And then there's the Starlight Ball, which will have someone called Gavin DeGraw or Gavin Yeehaw. I've got no idea. One of the two. Either way, he will be accompanied by the usual instrument. That one. And then there's the Earth, which will open up and swallow the whole lot of them and send them straight to hell to answer our prayers.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And I bet the only one you've ever heard of is the Village People, and they're about as cool as hell itself. So obviously it's not true. The devil does not have the best tunes. Some texts and tweets and such from last night. One moment, please. Get to the top of the list. Oh, so many pages. Damien in Doncaster says, are you looking forward to Mr. Trump returning on Monday? All hail the dear leader of the free world. I do believe he's being sarcastic. I hope so. Fingers crossed. Dave in Cheshire says, really enjoyed Kemi Badenoch having to clarify her latest gaffe despite claiming that she never has gaffes. Maybe that was also a gaffe. She's a gaffe production machine. This says, I haven't watched anything from behind the sofa since the Yeti's ball got reactivated in Doctor Who. I've got no idea what that means. On Monday, that's where I'll be, under a heated throw, shaking while I wait for my delivery, my mandated order of chlorinated fried chicken. It's the chemicals what make it tasty. Kirsty texts, good evening, sir. I missed the start of your show, so I don't know if Donald Trump's new portrait was mentioned, but it is hilarious and almost identical to his mugshot, and that has to be deliberate. Be afraid. Be very afraid. It is deliberate. It is like his mugshot, but not for the reasons that everybody thinks. I think that he just took a look at his mugshot and thought, I look so fantastic and manly. do that. That's what he said. Fran says, a government going on about how wonderful they are because they've maintained the triple lock is duping us into thinking that pensioners have a good deal. However, a triple lock on, very bad word beginning with C, is still terrible. That's right. A triple lock on, very bad word beginning with C, is still terrible. Actually, it's not that bad a word, really, is it? I mean, you could get away with that on the news, on television at this time of night. Not on the radio. Not on the radio, though. No, that is right out. John says, Nick, on your recommendation, I bought a heated throw. It is marvellously warm. See? I'm helping people. It is marvellously warm. A heated throw will put the heat on you rather than heat the air around you. Big difference. Huge. This says, oh, please, oh, probably meant, oh, please, you are just talking absolute rubbish and totally misrepresenting what Kemi Badenoch said on this point and was clear from the entire context of her interview. No, she said, starting with questions such as whether the triple lock should be maintained are the wrong questions to start with. You're either being disingenuous, driven by dogma, or just unable to figure out why she's right. Did any of that make sense?
No.
Especially that last part. It's not up to us to figure out why she's right. She's supposed to tell us why she's right, and we're supposed to go, oh, yeah, you're right. She can't just throw a load of very bad word beginning with C against the wall and hope that some of it sticks, and we think, well, yeah, she meant that. This says, hey, Nick, the reason why those MPs in Westminster don't sort the car light situation out is because they get blooming driven everywhere, so it doesn't affect them. That was about the headlights. We were discussing it in great depth last night. We were talking about it very strongly, about headlights, which those LED lights, they're not set up right. They're too high on the car, because everybody drives a tank these days, and they dazzle your eyes. I mean, I'm not one to complain.
Stop whining.
But they're dazzling. Cindy in Battersea says, hello, Nick. My new Porsche has an automatic lighting system which lights up all the dark areas I'm driving through, but it does not impact or dazzle the drivers of cars coming towards me. Well, how do you know, Cindy? She says it's brilliant and one of the best aspects of the car. Really? Strike Porsche off my list of wants. The lights are one of the best aspects of the car, really? She says, anyway, I'm listening to you from the Caribbean as I'm avoiding the weather in the UK at the moment, says Cindy. Blimey, we do get some highfalutin listeners on this show, no?
No.
She's driving a Porsche and she's escaping the winter in the Caribbean, if you please. This says, I've checked Trump's face on the Dulux colour finder and he is officially treacle tart. Treacle tart. That fits him to a T.
Don't be rude.
Treacle tart. It is available in all finishes, including masonry and flat matte. You're welcome. Well, appreciate it. I'm going to write that down. Treacle tart. I found another one today, mango Mussolini. That made me laugh a lot. I shall be using that frequently. And the tangerine twit and a golf twitler, and I mean, there's just so many of them. I had to write them down because, otherwise I'd just forget. This says, we already consume plenty of plastics. We were talking about plastics as well yesterday. Don't ask me why. I don't listen to this show, but, there was something about eating plastics. I think the figure is we eat about a credit card's worth of plastic every day. That might not be right, but if, Donald Trump can just blithely make up stuff, why can't I? Huge amounts of plastics in pretty much everything that we eat. And it's you're probably resting on plastic right now. And it is leaking into your bloodstream. That's why you're feeling, a bit woozy at the moment. This, it might also be...
Booze.
Yeah, but, it's probably the plastics. This text says, the reality of Trump and his billionaire pals sitting in the warm at the inauguration while all the MAGA voters freeze their backsides off outside in the cold is a bit on the nose, to be honest. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, all of those dinglings being interviewed in Washington in the cold, and they've got 3 layers of thermal underwear on. They've got 2 hats and 6 gloves and all of the rest of it, and they're really dressed up and ready to go. And then they were given the bad news that Donald Trump is going to be inside, and they were not best pleased. Well, I've left my gators at home. I ain't got nothing to eat. I've come here to see President. We just want President Trump. You know, those people. This. I didn't know I was going to do that. Alarming, really. This text says, is it suspicious that TikTok is being banned while Elon and Zuckerberg give Trump millions for his big party next week while also removing fact-checkers from their apps? Is it suspicious?
No.
No, it is not. It's blooming obvious is what it is. And the latest one to bend the knee and kiss the ring was the guy who put microchips in the vaccine for COVID. The Microsoft fella. What's his name? You know, the guy that does Microsoft with the glasses and the funny face. Looks like a cartoon goofball. What's his name? Bill Gates is the right answer. Yeah, he's the latest one, which I think means all of them. It's really quite alarming, I think, that all the richest people in the world find it necessary to bow and scrape to the tangerine tornado just because they want more money. What is wrong with these people? If I was worth hundreds of billions of dollars, then I'd be rude to absolutely everybody. You know, unlike how I am now when I'm, legal, decent, honest and true. I always go out of my way to be polite. This text says, hey, we're doing something. It's the green wave all the way without adequate storage in the UK. High heating prices making lots of bucks for companies while it all goes to pot and the orange man plays with his ego. What does that mean? Let's try this one. The Dark Side of the Moon is the best album ever, but have you heard of The Dark Side of the Rainbow? This is playing The Dark Side of the Moon turned up to 11 and the film Wizard of Oz turned down to -11. Start playing the album at the right moment, usually at the MGM Lions' third roar, and the music and lyrics seem to align magically and amazingly with the film. Look it up on YouTube. It'll blow your mind.
Yowza.
No, I won't. That sounds like a good way to ruin 2 things at the same time. I won't. You can't make me.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
I did a big one.
Good boy, Donny. Good boy. 0345 6060 973. Maidstone. Hello, Tony.
Baby.
Yes.
Oh my God! I've just seen the Arsenal score with Aston Villa. Oh.
Well, don't tell us.
Seriousness,
I haven't seen Match of the Day yet.
Okay. Oh no! I want Arsenal. They're my second favourite team. Anyway, can I just say?
One thing at a time, please, Tony. Concentrate.
Yes. What did I call up for? Oh yeah, I've got good news.
Yes.
It is not a high of -5 on the inauguration.
Mm-hmm.
It's -4 is the high.
That's centigrade.
And -13, because we had the conversation last night. Yeah,
it's no good giving us. Wait a minute, it's no good giving us centigrade. We have to deal in His Majesty's Fahrenheit because that's what the Americans do because they're stuck in a time warp. Fahrenheit, please.
I love when you Fahrenheit. So that's when you no, because I've told you before. I always wanted to be a meteorologist. So let's do this right now.
Because you sound more like you want to be a lumberjack.
What's the lumberjack mean?
Never mind.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I've just seen the Arsenal score. Anyway, that is...
You said that.
No, I've not said any scores, but I could not believe the results. Charlton lost 4-1.
Oh, okay, thanks a lot, Tony. 0345 6060 973. This Tom in Sevenoaks says, what's wrong with birds? We were discussing birds at length just yesterday. He says, what's wrong with birds? I have 2 huge red kites round my way with a wingspan of over 6 feet. They look like they could pick up a human. Yeah, red kites are amazing. They really are. It looks like a flying rug. They're huge. And what is actually quite entertaining is, I don't know where they've come from, because I think they proliferate... They proliferate in the Thames Valley. I don't know why they are proliferating there, but that is where they proliferate. Everybody says so. In the Thames Valley, there's loads of them, and what is a good trick to do is hide in a bush and chuck out a bit of meat onto a piece of flat ground. And it has to be sort of in the middle of your garden. You can't put it near something, because they don't actually land. They swoop, and they're so huge that they need quite a large area to do the swooping. But if you hide in a bush and chuck out a bit of meat, and it can be anything at all, just some old scraps or a bit of ham, prosciutto, something like that. I don't know how they do it, but they can tell from a long way away that you put out a tiny little bit of meat. It's an extraordinary ability. And then they start circling, and then there's more and more of them. And then one of them says, to hell with the circling, I'm going in for the kill. Fortunately, it's dead already. And they swoop in, and it's like a plane coming into your garden. It really is quite extraordinary. Why they don't look like they should be here, though. Like them parrots. They don't, or parakeets. They don't look like they should be here either. Squawking menaces they are. Anyway, it says, this one says, stop dissing the annual bird count. Yeah, because the Royal Society for the Prevention of Birds is doing one of their annual bird counts, which seems like a silly idea to me, because it's the middle of January and we ain't got no birds here. But I suppose they know what they're doing. They're having an annual bird count. He says, stop dissing the annual bird count. It's a very important way of collecting data. You'd soon be concerned if there was none left to eat the caterpillars on your cabbages. Well, good news, Anne. I ain't got no cabbages. And on that subject, this text says, the vultures in India are sick puppies. While visiting my gran in hospital, they were waiting on bridges and road signs in the vicinity. I wonder if they hang around vet surgeries too. Wow. Well, it's a living. Let's have Wembley Park. Christoph.
Oh, hi, Nick. So I presume the reason you got no cabbages is because of your recent infestation of caterpillars.
No, I ain't got no caterpillars neither.
Oh, that's because you got no cabbages.
That's right.
So I don't know if you'll tolerate me for long enough to make 3 points. Now, I'm going to sort of say a few things which make a few assertions for which I haven't really done any research.
Oh, well, then you'll fit right in on this show.
Exactly, and I think you'll like them so much. You'll like them so much that you won't really bother doing any research to find out whether they're true or not.
Well, why stop the habit of a lifetime?
Anyway, so the thing is, I don't know if you've seen it recently that Elon Musk has been accused of cheating in his video game, some sort of video game thing.
Well, that's very important news.
The thing is, I'm going to draw an inference because Donald Trump is also widely known to cheat at golf. Yeah, all the time. All the time.
Oh, yeah. Shut up!
Yeah, all the time.
So we have problems with deciding whose speech we should believe, and because we kind of want to allow free speech and everything. Us liberals are very concerned about cancelling people, but maybe the criterion we could use to decide whether people are totally unfit to have their voices heard,
yes,
are whether they are successful people who regularly cheat in their competitive leisure activities.
Yes, because what is the point of golf if you're just going to make up your score?
Well, that's it. That's it. So I'm just wondering, you see, whether, for example, Putin cheats at judo. Or
well, I don't think he really has to, because there is the penalty for beating him at judo.
Which may apply to all the others, you see. At some point, you get so powerful and that people are so frightened of you that maybe they always just let you win.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so.
But that doesn't really count in golf, though, because there will be a certain number of shots that you have to take, and so you're almost playing against yourself rather than anybody else. And so, can you beat your last round? And
well, I think Trump. I think he just ignores all those rules, doesn't he?
Yeah. He just walks over.
I'd be grateful if you're.
Puts the hole in the ball and counts that as a birdie. Some sort of birdie. Yeah.
I'd be grateful if your listeners could tell me anything about whether Mussolini, Salazar, Franco, or Hitler indulged in anything like that. But my second point is, there's an interview I heard. Nigel Farage gave an interview to Bloomberg recently. Oh, you know about that?
Yeah, of course.
And he kind of basically admitted
that everything that he'd ever said was a complete lie.
Yeah,
yes.
It's just amazing, isn't it? It's just anyway.
All of that stuff that he said he was going to do. Him and his party were going to open hospitals, and they were going to stop the boats, and they were going to do this, and they were going to do that. And they asked him about it, and he said essentially, "Well, we weren't going to win anyway, so I could just say anything I like." Good grief.
So I really hope that Nick Ferrari plays out that interview next time he.
Well, why don't you call Nick Ferrari and ask him? What are you asking me for?
Well, why don't you try and interview Nigel Farage? He probably wouldn't come on your show, would you?
I very much doubt he would come on my show, and I wouldn't want him on my show.
The third thing I wanted to say was there's something about a record number of millionaires leaving since July.
Yes.
I don't know if you've covered this, because I unfortunately couldn't listen to you last night, but...
I have detailed files.
I just wonder how they know that. I mean, do millionaires who leave the country kind of phone a hotline and saying, "I'm a millionaire and I'm just about to
leave the country"? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do imagine that kind of information might eventually become available through the ONS, maybe after a year or 18 months after it's actually happened. But how on earth can they know so soon?
It's just silly. I mean, the story is the UK has lost a millionaire. Hang on a minute. The story is that the UK has lost... hang on a minute. God, what's wrong with me? Answers on a postcard to the following address. The UK has lost a millionaire every 45 minutes since Labour came to power, according to new data that they just made up. Since Labour came to power, every 45 minutes, there's somebody at the border with a clicker and a stopwatch.
And also, we don't know how many millionaires have actually come into the country either.
Ah, good point.
So I'm sure these millionaires do move around and make decisions about where they're going to live and
where they're going
to send their children to school.
They play one country off against another, and that is to the benefit of millionaires and to the detriment of absolutely everybody else on Earth.
Can I just say one more thing about that, which is whichever country they're going to, or whichever countries they're going to, presumably those countries will eventually end up being as ruined as ours, because the very presence of those millionaires who don't like to live in countries where there's a fair distribution of wealth. Yeah, well, there isn't.
You mean tax? It's not a fair distribution of wealth. It's that they are subject to some tiny amount of tax.
What I mean is the presence of those millionaires who don't like that seems to lead to a country deteriorating.
Yes.
So whichever country they're going to...
Right.
Yeah, that country had better watch out.
And we can wish that country all the very best.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, see ya. I'll strike it off my holiday list. Excellent work. Thanks a lot, Christoph. If that is indeed your name. Tony in Clacton says, when there are no goals scored in a football match, it would be like me as a painter and a decorator running around a customer's house without putting any paint on the walls and still getting thousands of pounds at the end of the day for it. No, Tony. That's not true. Not true. Victoria in Glasgow said, neck. Neck? Neck. I'm unsure if I have a neighbouring house having a party, or do you have dance music blaring in the background? Blaring in the background? Right there in the foreground, Victoria. But thanks for asking. Neck. Jenny says, I heard you being mean about vultures. They're one of my favourite birds. They are a critically endangered species in some parts of the world, especially in India. They are so important and do an amazing job on this planet. They clean up the dead animals, stopping disease transferring to humans. They are beautiful and real characters. They need their bald heads to stop them getting covered in blood, etc. You mustn't diss them. They are hugely important as the clean-up crews and are vulnerable, says Jenny. Well, that's me told. Do they have to be so ugly, Jenny? I'm just asking. I mean, just hideous. Awful on the eye. Just saying.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
This text says, I'm listening from Australia right now and using my mobile phone to send this message, just so you can tell that Scottish guy you were talking to last night that you're not kidding. I can't remember what I was talking to him, but I think it was a reception on phone, so that doesn't prove nothing. But it proves that somebody in Australia is listening to this show right now. Hello, Australia. This says, I have just rewatched the 1968 movie Quatermass in the Pit. In one scene, Professor Quatermass asks Roni, if we found that our Earth was doomed, say, by a climactic change, what would we do about it? And Dr. Roni replies, nothing. Just go on squabbling as usual. Does that sound familiar? Yes, it does. Don't look up. And on that subject, Dave in Staines texts the following. It goes on a bit, so you might want to take a seat. Nick, accepted science proves that if greenhouse gases cause warming, then the lower atmosphere will warm faster. Satellites and weather balloons show that since the temperature peak in April 2016, the temperature is actually reduced by 0.21 degrees, regardless of the increase in CO2. If the surface is warmed and not the troposphere, then it is not caused by fossil fuels. Taking the lowest temperature for 8,000 years from 1880 and saying that the temperature has risen by 1.5 degrees centigrade is misleading, as prior to 1880, during the period 950 to 1350 AD, temperatures were 1.6 degrees centigrade higher than now. The newspapers are purely alarmist, says Dave in Staines, who has done his own homework.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay, Dave. Sure, whatever. Whatever you just said. Another person who's done his own research. Leeds. Hello, Jen.
Hello.
Jen. Yes, Jen.
Hello. So I'm here. Yeah, I was just ringing to tell you about something rather silly that I did yesterday.
What did you do yesterday that was silly?
Yesterday, last year I had seen one of my favourite online comedians was doing a gig at a local town. So I bobbed the date in my diary, didn't actually book it.
Yeah.
I thought, that'll be good, I'll see if I can get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we've had a bit of a rough week. So me and my friend Pam, I said to her, do you fancy going? We'll go. We booked tickets on the website.
Oh, yes.
And we set off last night, got to the venue, and it was all closed. So, yeah. So we were like, what's going on?
What's going on?
So, what is going on? So Pam looked at her phone and got the ticket up online. I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't see.
Yeah.
And she said, it's Saturday. So we were like,
What?
oh, yeah, I know. I was like, we've got the wrong night. I said, I'm really sorry.
Oh,
She
you
said,
are
"Did wanna-"
one silly Jen, if you don't mind me saying so.
Well, it gets worse.
Uh-oh.
Hang on. So, yeah, so I said, I'm really sorry. Do you want to go home or should we just go for a drink? So we went to the pub.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't understand how I got it wrong because I'd written down the date. It was the 17th. I wrote it down on my diary. I said, how could I get it wrong?
How could you get it wrong?
How could we get it wrong? When we got to the pub, we were saying, well, we can come back tomorrow night because it said Saturday on the ticket. We'll come back tomorrow night. So we were making plans to come back tonight. Anyway, I was still wondering how on earth I'd managed to get this wrong.
Yes.
So we went and got another drink. Pam did. So I was looking on my phone, and tomorrow night tonight at the venue, it was another act was on. I said, well, that can't be right.
How can that be right?
It couldn't be right. And so I thought, right, I'm going to see what it says on the comedian's webpage. I went on their webpage.
Yeah.
And his tour dates for the season 25 to 26 were on his webpage. So we'd actually gone to the venue a year early because it was the 17th of January 2026,
Wow.
which was the Saturday.
Blimey, you are only a year out. So
we were
close.
A year too early, which is quite ironic because I'm usually late for everything. So I've been, never have I been a year early. So anyway, we sat in the pub and we thought it could have been worse because we could have actually gone back tonight as well.
Right.
And then it would have been doubly bad.
Yes. So how embarrassing.
I know, but we did have a good laugh.
Are you going to wait there or are you going to go home?
Well, we're home. We decided it was a good practice run for next year.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just thought, I'd see if anyone else found that amusing because we did actually. Luckily, we could find that amusing. So
well, you got to have a laugh, even if you do miss the comedian. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he better be worth the wait.
Who is it? Anyone we know?
I don't know. He's called Sam Avery, the guy from Liverpool, and he makes me laugh on Facebook. So, yes, look him up. I think you'd probably like him. Well,
I want you to write a very, very stern letter to Sam Avery and explain how he has mucked up your life so.
Well, I did actually drop a note last night. He hasn't actually replied yet.
Right.
But you see, on the venue, it just said the date when we booked the tickets. To click on his name, it just said Sam Avery, January the 17th.
Yeah.
It didn't actually say 26, and he's obviously super organised, booking it so far in advance.
I can't believe that. Who books that far in advance, apart from the Rolling Stones? I mean, he's just got to show up himself, hasn't he?
Yeah, we were like, Taylor Swift. The reason we booked that venue was because it's like a little tiny venue. It'd be nice, little small gig. So we didn't think they would book that far in advance. So, anyway.
Well, lesson learned. All right. Okay, well, here's a laugh for you. You can take that with my compliments. Thanks a lot, Jen. Double and triple check, always, before parting with money. Good advice. This says, thank you kindly on behalf of the nation for the breakdown of the publishing costs you have endured in your personal profit line of your book. Appreciated. Sounds a bit sarcastic. On the premise, I am very happy to buy you a coffee or a beer as you are very deserving of the proceeds and look forward to receiving a copy of your book via Amazon. However, if I happen to meet you in a coffee shop anytime soon, I hope you will buy me a cup of coffee in return. Well, let me think about that for a moment.
No.
It's a no from me. I don't even know who you are. You are an anonymous texter. What have you done for me lately? This says, Nick, on the news there was a report about a staff member in the Houses of Parliament having a drink spike. There should be no alcohol in the Houses of Parliament.
Booze.
I agree. I mean, I used to work in a place that had a big fridge that was stuffed with booze, and people used to help themselves to it during the daytime. And it doesn't exist anymore. And the two may be connected. But it seems a bit bizarre to have alcohol at a place of work, and there's just so much of it in the Houses of Parliament. I mean, I've said this before. I've only been there twice, and the second time was during the day, and I only went for lunch, and it was all booked up. But the first time that I went, it was the most drunken place I've ever seen in my life. People were bouncing off walls, they were so drunk. All these harumphing old geezers being held up by their suspiciously good-looking and young assistants. Very odd. Very odd. Let's have Norwood. Hello, Chelsea. Hello, Norwood.
Hi, how you doing?
Yes,
Nick?
good, thanance. Very good.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I'm putting a plug in for Phil Taylor, who was the drummer for Motorhead.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I listen to his music every day. Ace of Spades and
other
Bomber.
songs are available.
And
yeah.
I think, do you know what?
Mm-hmm.
If there's one guy I could aspire to, but I think he's an amazing person, that's Phil Taylor from Motorhead.
Right. Good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've got no idea.
Rock and roll!
We're just naming drummers now. What else? This says, Nick, I'd be willing to part with a £50 note and a pickled egg for a signed copy of your book. Well, Ed, you had me at pickled egg. It says, Nick, I'll raise the recent bidder to £2,000 for a signed copy of your book. If the auction goes well, you could invest the monies in a new kitchen to go with your fancy bathroom. Sarah and James at Ipswich says, Nick, why is Meghan Markle ruining Trump's inauguration with this cold weather? She really has stooped very low this time. The continued obsession with Meghan Markle from the British press is like reaching alarming levels. I mean, somebody needs to stage an intervention. They are obsessed with that woman. The news today was Meghan, Harry, Trump. Because there was some article written in Vanity Fair, which the right-wing press would normally think was some woke lefty publication that they wouldn't light their fire with. But because it had some coverage about Meghan Markle being reportedly unpleasant, then they couldn't get enough of it. And they just went on and on and on and on. I mean, it's just become ridiculous now. I mean, they're just... it's like stalking on steroids. Somebody needs to have a word with them, really. I mean, it's just got ridiculous. And some middle-aged men do appear to be absolutely beside themselves with fury that Meghan Markle won't return their phone calls. She's not going to go out with you. Get over it. Lucy in Balham says, how did Musk fall out of love so quickly with Farage? Did he get kicked in the head by a horse?
I'm immensely grateful to you for everything you've done in British politics over the last few years. I used to be an ardent Remainer. I voted Remain. I believed in the European project. Mm-hmm. I believed that staying in the European Union was the best thing for us. And then something happened and something monumental happened. It completely changed my opinion on the whole situation.
What was that monumental thing, Mark?
I was kicked in the head by a horse.
Right, very good. Okay, fine. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's that note of faux concern from faux rage. And what was that thing? What was that monumental thing? And then slap. Oh, the timing is perfect. Any excuse to play that. Appreciate it. Oh no, I got to do a break, then I'll take another call. A phone call for me.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. 0345 6060 973. Manchester. Hello, Raj.
Hi there, Nick. How are you this evening? Are you well?
Yes, good, thanks.
Hello?
Yes.
Great.
Hello?
I think I've... Yeah, can you hear me?
No.
Well, that's not good, is it? I can hear you. Anywho, I'm listening to talk anyway, regardless whether you can hear me or not. I think I've worked it out how they work out how many people have left, how many millionaires have left after when the government came into power.
Yes.
So, because I went to Belgium a couple of weeks ago, and there was a guy standing there with a form and a little clipboard thing, and he said to me, "Are you a millionaire?" And I sort of said yes. And he said, "Are you coming back to the UK?" And I said no. And I think that's how they did it. I think that's how they worked it out. Because if I had said no and I'm coming back, then I don't think I would have been added onto that list.
Right. Well, that is a very believable story. Thanks for passing that on, Raj. 0345 6060 973. The UK has lost a millionaire every 45 minutes since Labour came to power, according to new data, which suggests that we want to go straight back to the Conservative Party.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yes, because that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, gee, ever since they lost the election, it's just been moaning and whining and whinging.
Stop whining.
Britain lost a net 10,800 millionaires last year, including 78 centimillionaires worth at least 100 million and 12 billionaires. They left for other countries, mainly in Europe, such as Italy and Switzerland, as well as the United Arab Emirates. How the hell do they know that? And last year, I do believe that for the first half of it, it was the Conservative Party that was in power. It was
this government.
It was that government. 10,800 millionaires. How do they know that? Rachel D'Souza, a tax partner at auditing company RSM UK, said the demand for relocation advice was being driven by those with non-dom status before October's budget, but by British entrepreneurs afterwards. Oh, well, that's a proof then. She said in virtually all cases, these entrepreneurs are citing the budget announcements as the reason. Now, in November, Rachel Reeves squared up to her detractors, telling the CBI conference, I've heard a lot of feedback about my budget, but not about any alternative suggestions in the wake of what Labour said was a £22 billion black hole left by the last Labour government. And from April, Labour is going to crack down on the loophole, this non-dom loophole, and replace it with a less generous residence-based scheme that will also subject non-dom overseas assets to UK inheritance tax for the very first time. And absolutely all of these people will be able to skip lightly around it by employing the right accountants and lawyers. So that story again is the super rich who register as not living here so they don't have to pay tax here are going because their tax dodge is ending a bit. And exactly how is that a bad thing? All they do is make everything more expensive for those of us who do actually live here and pay taxes here. And as for the budget-spooking entrepreneurs, well, what they were worried about was having to pay the lowest-earning employees in their companies a little bit more. A tiny bit, not even enough to get by on, just about 71 pence an hour raise in the minimum wage and a tiny bit more in national insurance. That's what made the millionaires and the billionaires leave en masse, apparently. But if they're millionaires, by definition, they could afford to pay their lowest earners a bit more. But they don't want to. If they're millionaires, they could afford the tiny extra in insurance contributions. But they don't want to. Why will we miss them? They're not wealth creators, they're wealth hoarders. We'd be better off without them. If their business depends on paying staff a wage that they can't afford to live on, then perhaps their business isn't worth saving. Maybe without them around, we could have better businesses that are run not solely for the benefit of the person at the very top, but in which workers are actually rewarded for the wealth that they create. Blimey, what a concept. Sounds like heaven. And what no paper has said, and they're all jumping on this, well, you know, blooming Labour, we're losing all these millionaires. I mean, are you feeling it? Are you feeling the pain of losing these millionaires? I'll assume that the answer is no. No. Because they're not going to go, are they? They can't just take their companies with them. They can't take their children out of school with them. They can't take their house with them, or any of these things. They're just taking the regime in which they don't pay tax with them. Going to another place where they don't have to pay tax. And countries should really stop doing this, competing with each other to accommodate those who don't want to pay any tax. That is to the detriment of the whole human race, that is. In America at the moment, 1% of the richest people own as much wealth as the bottom 90%. I'll just pause, let that sink in. The 1% own as much wealth as the 90% below them. It's worse than that. The three richest people in America have more wealth than the bottom 50%. And what the papers who are jumping all over this, we're losing a millionaire every 45 minutes, so what big deal? What they failed to report on was Britain's departure from the European Union cost London's financial centre about 40,000 jobs. Now, which woke hippie said that? Well, it was the Lord Mayor of the City of London. Michael Mainelli said Dublin gained the most, attracting 10,000 positions, while cities such as Milan and Paris and Amsterdam had also benefited from jobs migrating from London after Britain voted to quit the EU trading bloc in 2016. I bet some of these people are millionaires. I bet some of these people pay a ton of money in tax. The Lord Mayor of the City of London said Brexit was a disaster. He's the ceremonial head of the London City's financial centre, which stretches over the square mile, including the Bank of England, international banks and insurers. He said, we had 525,000 workers in 2016. He now thinks that we've lost just short of 40,000 of them. I think that would be more significant than losing a millionaire every 45 minutes, which is a completely made-up statistic anyway. But there's not a word of this. Long the jewel in the British industrial crown, the country's financial sector has been in decline. And because it's the only thing that we make any money on, that should concern all of us. I mean, it's a shame that is the only thing we make any money on, and we don't have a manufacturing sector anymore, but that's Margaret Thatcher, that is. Yeah, thanks a lot, Margaret Thatcher. Economic output in the heart of Britain's financial sector, including banks and wealth funds, has fallen by 15% since late 2019. That's just before the UK formally left the EU. Overall, financial services has fallen by 1% since 2019. Now, that doesn't sound very much, but in Germany and France, it's increased by 8%. And Ireland has increased by 18%. British financial services exports have been overtaken by other business services such as law and advertising. The official budget forecaster said that its prediction that Brexit would cause trade volumes to shrink by 15% was broadly on track. Not a peep in the papers who are clutching pearls about losing some millionaires. Big deal, we won't miss them. Things will be cheaper now they're gone. They're not wealth creators, they're wealth hoarders. And it just blows my mind that somebody that can be worth all that money just is obsessed about, about keeping every single solitary penny of it and not letting any of it go. It's almost as though money comes with a disease, and the more of it you get, the more disease you got. This text says, in the end, all that will survive Armageddon are cockroaches, Keith Richards and Donald Trump. Yeah, that's probably right. Donald Trump seems to have the worst diet and exercise regime of anybody that I've ever seen. I mean, never, ever, ever does any exercise.
Exercising is fun and it's nice.
Not once in his life has he ever exercised. And he just seems to be... He's going like a Duracell bunny. Mike says the village people will be fake, just like the tango child that they will be playing for, because there's only one of the originals still alive. I'm not sure that's true. I think there's only one of the originals that's still doing it, that's still doing the, those excruciating songs with the silly hand movements. I think it's the lead singer, or the guy at the front. I don't even know if he does any singing. Do any of them do any singing? Let's assume that the answer is yes. They probably don't do any playing. And they probably didn't write YMCA or any of the other ones. But never mind. It can just about squeeze into a policeman's uniform, and that's all that matters. The village people will be fake, just like the tango child they'll be playing for. There's only one of the originals still alive. I'm not sure that's entirely true, but, who cares? That's the important part. Who cares? This text says, hearing how much I earn a year. Oh, this was about the football. About Erling Haaland signing a deal for something like £500,000 a week. And it just seemed odd to me that they are the only people that whose income is described on a weekly amount other than paper boys. Or girls. Sexist. Says, hearing how much I earn a year is better than hearing what I make a week. They must feel the same. My heart goes out to them. Well, those yearly numbers for footballers, they're huge. So it must be difficult to, get your head around all those zeros. What with the tattoo ink, causing something of a pain behind the eyeballs, you would think. I mean, at what point is there too much tattoo ink going around your body, approximately? This says, Lawrence in Croydon says, Chris Philp was my MP, unfortunately, until the boundary changed. He must be embarrassed as he chucked his lot in with Liz Truss for 47 days. Was always sitting next to her in PM queues. Oh well, says Lawrence. Yeah, well, you're defined by the people that you hang out with. Ain't that right, Liz?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That is a disgrace, isn't it?
That is...
I mean, it just takes too long for her to say that. Shorten the gaps in that is a disgrace. That's good advice. 0345 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Hello, boys.
My dog's been taken.
What's a snow grain? Is it like a breakfast cereal? Jeff in Bromley says, Nick, so the predicted weather for Trump's inauguration will just go to show that the Democrats are in control of the weather. As Marjorie Taylor Greene actually said something like that, because she said that the storms around about Election Day were being controlled by the Democrats in order to make Republican areas stay away from the polls. She actually said that. She's the woman who thinks that there's a Jewish space laser. You know. An elected official in America. And one of the chief dinglings in that part of the world. Yeah. I bet she's going to say something like that. And by the way, it's not going to be that cold. I mean, the temperature in D.C. is going to be 1 degree warmer than for JFK's inauguration in 1961, which was outside. And there'd also been a snowstorm, leaving 8 inches of snow at the JFK inauguration. At Obama's 2009 inauguration, it was 28 degrees Fahrenheit with a wind chill in the mid-teens. So it's not going to be that cold. And the reason that he's cancelled it, because it was down to him, nobody else did it on his behalf. It was him, Donald Trump, that cancelled it and left all of his dingling fans out, literally out in the cold. Well, the suggestion is, and I believe this 100%, is that he checked the hotel occupancies in and around Washington and found that there were many rooms still for sale. About 30% of the hotel rooms in Washington still not sold. And he took one look at that and thought, uh-oh. Tangerine Twitler was infamously touchy about the crowd size at his first inauguration in 2017, and hotel occupancy rates in Washington, D.C. are hovering just above 70%. Trump posted on Truth Social, the weather forecast for Washington, D.C., with the wind chill factor, could take temperatures into severe record lows. I don't want to see people hurt or injured in any way. Yeah, because he's a kind person. Good grief. He doesn't want to see people hurt or injured in any way, apart from those protesting against him, who he wants shot in the legs. Remember that? It is dangerous conditions for the... This is him saying, it is dangerous conditions for the tens of thousands of law enforcement, first responders, police canines, and even horses, and hundreds of thousands of supporters that will be outside for many hours on the 20th. Therefore, I have ordered the inauguration address, in addition to prayers and other speeches, to be delivered in the United States Capitol Rotunda, as was used by Ronald Reagan in 1985, also because of very cold weather. Oh, please. He's worried about the horses and the dogs. Is that believable?
No.
No, it is not. I mean, come on. It's not like we've just met, Donny. We know you. You couldn't care less about any of that. It's a size thing. You're just worried you'll throw a party and fewer people will come than were there for Joe Biden or Obama again.
Don't be rude.
The President-elect first White House press secretary, Sean Spicer, torched his credibility right off the bat by claiming that Trump's relatively sparsely attended inauguration in 2017 was the, quotes, largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period. That's what he said. And at that point, we went into the territory of fake news. That was all that was obsessing him first time around, and it's still doing it now. He hasn't changed a bit. He started how he started the last time around, desperate to seem more popular than he is. A great, big, whiny baby.
I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
I'm whining and whining.
I am the most fabulous whiner. And I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
And whining and whining.
I'm a whiner, and I keep
whining and whining and whining.
I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
Yeah, a guy who's been handed everything in his life on a silver tray by a butler he will later stiff on his wages, and he just whines and whines and whines. Will never be satisfied. Nothing is ever enough for a man who's probably still trying to get Daddy to think more of him. Well, that ship sailed and sunk. This text says, that high noon shot, that mugshot of Donny looks like he's straining to press out... Oh, I can't say that. I can't say that. I don't even want to think it. But you are right, it does. Yeah, good point. Kensington, Hassan.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I attended a protest march in London.
Oh, yes.
And there were some shocking scenes. I saw a young girl who was arrested because she had a poster referring to our dear leader Starmer as a C word, which rhymes with skunk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a bit surprised because I think a lot of people on that march actually agreed with that description for the current Prime Minister, the previous Prime Minister, and
the one before that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the police were very active today. They seem to like arresting 80-year-old Jewish protesters because they have put a Hitler moustache on Netanyahu's face, which I think is not the worst thing to put there.
Well, to me that comes under free speech, but we ain't got that no more.
No, exactly. But I mean, these protesters have to learn from the EDL and all those other guys how to show up completely smashed and drunk with knuckle dusters, etc., so that they're more... they can give more support to the police, who seemed quite bored today.
Right. OK, that's good advice. Thanks a lot, Hassan. 0345 6060 973. I'm just trying to work out what begins with C and rhymes with skunk. I can't think of anything. Nope. Not a thing. Maybe I just don't do rhyming very well. Johnny in the I would be a rubbish poet. That is just a fact. There was a young man from Australia. Can't say it. Johnny in the Algarve says, Dear Nick, I do feel inclined and slightly excited to watch the inauguration of His Blobbiness. Well, that is patently rude.
You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. I'm the President of the United States. Don't ever talk to the President that way.
Don't ever talk to the President that way. Blobbiness, indeed. Weird and scary, no doubt, but compelling, says Johnny. We know he'll start claiming that he's saving the world already. Here's hoping. I do hope that Nigel is only offered the after-party tickets. Yeah, that's right. Where's Nigel going to sit? I do hope that he hasn't travelled 3,000 miles and won't be able to meet up with his hero again. Wouldn't that be upsetting? It'll still give him an opportunity to brag about being there, says Johnny, keeping us entertained. What a strange world this has become, he says. Today, though, beach walk was 5 miles, clear blue skies, 68 degrees, but a slight chill in the air. As you'll be pleased to hear, it will be raining on Monday and raining on Tuesday and raining on Wednesday and raining on Thursday and raining on Friday and raining on Saturday and raining on Sunday. Best to you in London town, says Johnny in the Algarve. Blimey. Well, that's lovely to know, Johnny. But actually, we didn't wish to know that. But thanks for telling us. This text says, just to keep you updated, I will not be attending the Trump thing. There's another one that's cancelled, Donny. You might get a seat, Nige. The Wirral. Hello, Nora.
Kaplonk.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Starts with a C and rhymes with
skunk. Kaplunk, yeah.
Okay. So, I was going to say about the tax exiles.
Yeah.
There was quite an interesting thread on X. And I'm going to say this guy's name, but I think I'll pronounce both his first and last name wrong. Ole, O-L-E, and Lehman, but I think he's German. Anyway, and there's 21 reasons why moving to a tax haven is a bad idea, and it's more expensive than actually staying at home and paying tax. It was quite depressing, really. I mean, it was very honest.
Yeah.
And it's all the downsides to it. Like, you never put down roots. Every family occasion, he's got to use up some of his 30 or 60 days or whatever it is.
Right.
It's always cancellation. No friends, because it's just people who are only transitory.
Yes.
So the actual lifestyle of a tax dodger, that's not what they call them, but people who go to tax havens, it's not a good one. So.
Absolutely miserable. I don't know what these people are thinking of. I imagine they will rue their decision the moment they get there and find that there's nothing to do with their money. Because that's the thing about money is, it's not having it, it's what can you do with it? What can you do with money in the United Arab Emirates, I ask? What could you possibly do with it? Huh?
Yeah. It's not as if they didn't have enough here.
Yeah, exactly.
You can understand that they were going there because they got no money here and they needed to make some.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that. They're just going to have more money than they need, even more than they need.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a patriotic thing to me as well. I mean, you lived in a country that allowed you to make all of that money. And now you've made all that money off the backs of the taxpayers who live here, who funded the roads and the NHS and the schools and the police and all of the things that made this country a place that you can make a fortune in. As soon as you made your fortune, you don't want to give anything back. You want to scarper and go and live in the United Arab Emirates. Are you out of your minds?
Well, here's another thing as well. Quite a lot of these, if they do pay low wages, those wages, if there's any children involved or housing benefits, they're subsidised by the government. So we're subsidising the wages of their workers anyway with tax credits.
Yeah, exactly.
Tesco's, who've made all those millions, and yet some of their workers are on tax credits to make up the pay that they're not paying them.
Yes, we should stop trying to save businesses that are dependent on paying their staff a wage that they can't live on.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I've been doing a bit of wine myself tonight. Halfway through the bottle.
A little bit of whining. She's halfway through the bottle.
Booze.
Yeah, okay. Good work. Thanks a lot, Nora. All the best with that bottle. You show it who's boss. It says, Nick, have you heard the news with Melania showing absolutely no interest in returning to the White House? There's a new First Lady on the scene. I, for one, will wish President Trump and First Lady Melania, Elon, yeah, that's better written down than said out loud. Lady Elon, Melania, get it? Wish him all the best for the big day on Monday and a lifetime of happiness together. Remember, it'll all go by so fast. Take a moment to enjoy the little things, says Harry. I'm going to bet that Trump and Sissy SpaceX is their breakup will be within 3 months, 6 months tops. They're going to be screaming at each other before you know it. Well, the entire MAGA circus is all yelling at each other already. They haven't even started yet. So here are the temperatures at 12 p.m., as in noon, for the following inaugural events. In 1961, John F. Kennedy at 22 degrees Fahrenheit. This is all Fahrenheit. Held outside. 2009, Barack Obama, 28 degrees, held outside. 1977, Jimmy Carter, 28 degrees, held outside. 1941, Franklin D. Roosevelt, 29 degrees, it was held outside. In 1937, Franklin D. Roosevelt, 33 degrees, and it was held outside. I'll just check what the weather is for over at Donny's place. 25. So way warmer than Ronald Reagan or John F. Kennedy. Ronald Reagan's may have been inside, but Kennedy, not. So keep that in mind, you Trump supporters. He doesn't care about you. He's holding it inside, not because of the weather, because Do you really think that he cares about the horses and the dogs and the first responders and any of that stuff? I mean, come on. It's like we don't know who he is. Please. He's holding it inside because he's worried about the crowd size, because he's seen the occupancy rates in hotels around Washington, and they're only 70% full, which is about what it was the last time around. But I think it was slightly more than the last time around, because there were a lot of people who were going to go there to protest, so they were taking up the hotel rooms. It's going miserably badly for him, and he hasn't even begun yet. I couldn't be happier. 0345 6060 973. Did I take a break yet? I don't
think so.
Huh? What?
I don't think so, but if you have and we do one, we will improvise.
Oh, going to improvise. Right. So, improvise. So, shout out things from the crowd and we'll improvise. A cheese grater, you say? Yes? A Tesla Cybertruck? Mm-hmm. What else?
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I would say he's incompetent, but I don't want to do that because that's not nice.
Thanks for being nice, Donny. You're the best. Rory in Bermondsey says, Nick, you and Oh Right Yeah make my favourite podcast.
Oh, right, yeah.
Given you've recently reached your 300th episode and I ain't no good at maths, I consulted my AI friend, and if you continue to do 2 episodes a week, you'll reach episode 1000 in September 2031, halfway into Uday's first... Well, it was going to be either Uday or Kusei that the Tangerine Twit will hand over power to, because he ain't leaving at the end of these 4 years. I don't know why people are blithely saying, oh, well, he can't run again because, you know, that's the law. Please. Of course, he's not going to... They're not going to have another election in America. Wake up, sheeple. It's later than you think. Anyway, halfway into Uday's first term, says Rory. Please confirm that you can commit to this tonight. Thanks in advance.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin. It is called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? In which the delightful Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems while laughing our faces off. Now, if you have a dilemma or an issue or a conundrum, something you've always wondered about, something that is bothering you, well, leave it to the unprofessionals. Simply send it to nickandcarol@global.com. Email nickandcarol@global.com and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Yeah.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? We got over 300 episodes up there.
What?
I know. Amazing. It is actually amazing. Over 300. And our 300th episode was a Super Soaraway bumper edition. It turns out that it wasn't actually our 300th. We'd miscalculated, but that don't make no never mind. It was a bumper edition anyway. And you're welcome. I'm looking at the switchboard and I've just got regulars there. Can we have somebody I haven't spoken to about 100,000 times already? I mean, I do wish you all the best, and I appreciate your cooperation and your involvement. But somebody I haven't spoken to 8 million times already would be good. I'll wait. The billionaire press barons, says this text, have for years been spreading lies about the Witch of the West. I'm beginning to doubt what they say about Meghan Markle now. Maybe I read that wrong. I'm beginning to doubt what they say about Meghan Markle now. Maybe the emphasis was wrong on my first reading. Andy in Bedfordshire says, Nick, I have the same lights on my Skoda. Yes, the tank-sized ones. The lights are the best thing on it. Also, I am easily pleased by simple things, says Andy. I'm really kind of surprised that nobody in law enforcement has made those lights illegal, those ultra-dazzling ones, because it's just damn dangerous. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That you can't see anything, particularly if you're going downhill or uphill, and they're coming in the opposite direction. And you're just momentarily blinded. You have to look to the side of the road to see if there's a white line there or, you know, something that illuminates that can show you where you're going. I can't believe that they're allowed to get away with that. Plus, like I said yesterday, it's just deeply annoying if one of those things is behind you, because every bump in the road, the lights go up and down. It looks like they're flashing you all the time. Of course, if they're driving an Audi, they probably will be. And we appreciate your cooperation.
Thank you.
This text says, I've been thinking if God was a politician, I reckon he'd be on the dole by now. Just like Jonathan Gullis. Oh. Well, was it Jonathan Gullis who said that, people who are on benefits should get a bit of gumption and, go out there and apply themselves? If it wasn't, then I apologise, but it was somebody who looked just like him. VJ says, the trouble with LED car lights is not just that they are set high, but they also have automatic high beam set up, and these cars don't detect oncoming traffic, and then you get dazzled. Make sense of that. I can't, VJ. They don't have automatic high beam set up. No, it's just the ordinary light. It's not super bright light, if that's what you mean by what you just said. Nick in Wellington says, did you manage to look at the Guardian article about waxworks that your caller called yesterday and referred to? She was bang on about Hitler and Mussolini, but I have to say the most realistic likeness of all were Fergie and Noel Edmonds. The things that people pay to see. Yet another nail in the coffin of the tourism industry in Great Yarmouth, whatever that is, says Nick. They have a tourism industry in Great Yarmouth? I seriously doubt that. Umir, Wolverhampton.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, there you are.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the fact that Elon Musk has been exposed by gamers for his fraudulent behaviour, faking his gameplay. So he's basically brought an account or had people use an account to make him the highest level, and all the gamers online have exposed him for that.
Really? Where is this story?
It's all over YouTube, multiple. So Quinn69, who's a TV YouTuber, he first exposed him, and then other streamers exposed him, and on the backlash, Elon started to shadow ban them on
right.
Twitter.
Here we go. I got it. The story is actually on Forbes magazine, the magazine for the super rich. Elon Musk, the world's richest man, is in the midst of a heated feud with gaming streamer Zach Hoyt, better known as Asmongold, who is accusing Musk of cheating at Path of Exile 2.
The funny thing is, he wasn't the one who exposed him. He only commented on the original person who exposed him.
Right.
And he's getting all the heat on it now. So Elon's exposed their private DMs, accused him of being controlled by editors, where he misunderstood editors for YouTube channels, comparing them to editors of newspapers. So he's like, you're not a maverick gamer, like spewing all this nonsense. Right. And then he's been exposed for that as well.
Right. I don't really have any idea what we're talking about here, but then that's not a big switch on this show. But and I imagine that gamers are very against people cheating.
Well, pretty much, yeah. So if you pay somebody to play your account and then claim to be the god of gaming when you're not, it's going to rattle a few gamers who spend a lot of time.
Too much time, let's be honest.
That's true.
A little bit too much. Did you hear about that game that is going to be the most expensive piece of entertainment that's been ever produced? It's going to rack up something like $1 billion to produce it, and it's being crowdfunded. Did you hear about that?
Not really. I've gone off gaming and...
Well, I know more about it than you do. I can't believe it. An ancient, old, out-of-touch geezer like me knows more about gaming than you do.
Yeah, but the funny thing is it just shows how insecure he is and how the gaming community are able to, like, attack him and hold him to, like, account.
Right.
But government can't do the same. Like, Keir Starmer should... How government and, like, all our politicians literally, like, kowtowing to him or being scared of him, but gamers are able to, like, destroy him in seconds.
So what we need is a 15-year-old with an Xbox. That'll teach him. Yeah. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Uma. Asmongold is not the only gamer accusing Elon Musk of cheating, as the larger gaming community, particularly Path of Exile players, believe that Elon Musk is paying people to play games for him.
Oh, no.
Good grief. levelling up his characters and arming them with powerful equipment, a practice known as boosting. After Musk played Path of Exile 2 on a live stream, gamers quickly noticed that his actions did not match that of a proficient player and compiled a list of evidence on Reddit that strongly implies that Musk is boosting his characters. He's getting a ringer in other words. Commentators responded in bemused disbelief. One wrote that Musk doesn't seem to understand why he can't pick up items when his inventory is full. It should be noted that Path of Exile 2 is a very difficult game that requires a serious time commitment to reach the level that Musk's character achieved, level 97 on hardcore mode. The prevailing sentiment is that a man who is running multiple businesses simply does not have the time to do this. And then it goes on at length. This is Forbes magazine talking about this. It just goes on and on and on. Can anybody nutshell it for us? Okay, here we go. Australian news. Elon Musk lashes out after top gaming commentator accuses him of cheating. Elon Musk has lashed out at a prominent YouTuber and gaming commentator after he accused the billionaire of cheating at video games. Earlier this week, content creator Zach Hoyt, better known as Asmongold, accused Musk of having other people play games under his name to boost his public rankings. Good grief. He thinks he's Iron Man, but he's actually Cartman. 0345 6060 973. You know, people. Somebody. I can't remember where it was. It's not my original thought, but somebody was saying, you know, I knew that eventually that some evil people would come along and try to take over the world. I just didn't realise there'd be such a bunch of babyish, whining losers. It's kind of disappointing, really, isn't it?
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Right, so what are we doing?
We're doing a radio show, Given. Keep up. This text says, I have a red kite tattoo because I'm Welsh. What have the two got to do with each other? I've just seen the inside Number 9 theatre show Stage Fright. It was so good, Nick. I've got no idea what you're talking about. There are loads of red kites in Windsor, says this one. They are everywhere. Well, they're in Windsor. Is that what you mean? Thames Valley. They seem to be concentrated in the Thames Valley. I have no idea why. Oh, almost as though by magic, here could be the explanation. The red kite were reintroduced to the UK in the 1990s. One location was Ham Farm near High Wycombe. Well, that certainly sounds like it fits. And Keith in Poland says, hey, Nick, it looks like Trump has missed a trick. With a little bit of foresight, MAGA-branded heated throws would be flying off the shelves of his merchandise website. Well, I mean, he sells absolutely anything else. I mean, the tacky crap that's on his website, you just would not believe it.
I make $400 million a year, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, sure you do, Donny. You made $400 million one year when your daddy gave you $400 million. Since then, not much. I mean, we could talk about his what's the word? His profession. It begins with a P. I'm pretty sure about that. His ability with business. That's what I'm going for. I might not be able to move past this though without getting the right word. Do you know what I'm going for? A look of panic on his face. He's not even listening to this show. His ability with business. I'm just going to have to go with that because I can't think of what the P word is that I'm searching for. Never mind A. Let's take a look at how he's done business-wise, Donald Trump. His main claim to fame has famously been his business prowess. A mostly unearned reputation of being good at business. And he gained that reputation from anonymously bragging about himself to reporters, calling up and pretending to be somebody else and telling those reporters about how well this chap, Donald Trump, that they work for was doing, and exaggerating the value of his properties, and then propping up his image by yelling, "You're fired," in a stupid reality TV show. Absolutely everything about him is smoke and mirrors and lies. From the lifts in his shoes to make him look taller, to the makeup on his face to make him look oranger. I don't know. I don't know what he's really going for there. A tan? I mean, is that it? Maybe it's just, all dictators look a bit weird, don't they? All those right-wing dictator types, they all look a bit weird. I think maybe it's just to take your mind off what they're doing to you. They've all got weird hair or a weird moustache or they dress weird or, there's just something odd about them all. Donald Trump's main claim to fame has famously been his business prowess. So let's take a look at how he's done business-wise. Well, he had the Trump Taj Mahal. That went bankrupt. The Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino. That went bankrupt. The Plaza Hotel. That went bankrupt. The Trump Castle Hotel and Casino. Bankrupt. Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts. Bankrupt. Trump Entertainment Resorts. Bankrupt. Trump Vodka. Discontinued. Trump Steaks. Discontinued. Trump Ice. Discontinued. Trump Magazine. Closed. Trump Mortgage. Closed. Trump Airlines. He took an airline that had been running for 27 years, put his name on it, and it closed within 3 years. Trump University closed for fraud. The Trump Foundation closed for fraud. The Trump Organization was fined $355 million for fraud. His success? Well, Stormy Daniels, the person Trump claims he did not have sex with, she got $130,000, which is, pretty generous of a man who is not known for his generosity. So please tell me again about what a great businessman he is. And there's people. Kemi Badenoch was the latest example of this. Politicians saying, the reason that this country has gone to hell in a handcart is that these politicians have never had a business. And then, in the same breath, praising Donald Trump for his business acumen. Maybe that was one of those gaffes that she is famous for not making, Kemi Badenoch. Belfast. Hello, Tony.
Well, I'd like I could comment on all three stories that you're doing.
What?
It's actually the lights on cars.
Ah.
I believe I heard a report about 6 months or 9 months ago that the AA and RAC, rally car things, were taking a court case against them because they are not legal in Britain or the north of Ireland.
But they're everywhere. Not legal.
Exactly. They're not legal. And as far as I know, the AA and the RAC were taking a court case against them, but I haven't heard any more since that last report that I did hear.
Right. And who is them in this case?
Well, let's say I'm talking about the automobile industry.
Right.
And they're being exported into the country, and the light that's on them is supposed to be illegal, but they seem to be getting away with it.
They are getting away with it. They're absolutely everywhere, and it is. They're painful to look at. They're painful to be exposed to. I am telling you about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I can tell you about it because I actually drove for a living as well.
Right.
I have had several professions in my life.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of driving too, and and I mean, I've never seen anything like it. You're right. You have to look away. You have to look up, actually, or over to the side, or.
Yeah.
And if somebody was to walk out in front of you at that minute,
you'd have absolutely no chance.
Dead.
Yeah, exactly right.
They're dead.
Yes. I mean, you have to just keep driving in the hope that the gap that you saw in the road is still there. Or that there isn't a car that has been parked going the wrong way round, so it's facing towards you on your side of the road, which you shouldn't do.
That's even worse again. It's cars with them lights parked on the wrong side of the road as you're driving down with the lights.
If they've still got the lights on, quite right, yeah. Those people should be executed.
Madness.
Well, maybe I've gone a little bit too far.
No, I agree with you.
Oh, right.
Okay. And I'm from Belfast, like, don't be offended.
Yeah. All right. Excellent work. Thanks a lot, Tony. Keep me abreast of any developments. Did you hear that? The AA and the RRR are taking the car companies to court. Good thing, too. Give them hell. This text says, I've got blue and great tits. Well, that's great. Thanks for the news. Oh, there's more. Chaffinches, robins, tree sparrows, wrens, crows, jays, and even a woodpecker on my feeders, so there. No. A woodpecker. How marvellous. Because they are a sight for the eye. And the ears, by the way. I was listening to one of those Go At It just the other day. How do they do it so quick? Smashing their beak into... I mean, imagine smashing your face into a tree. Over and over and over again. Stupid birds. 0345 6060 973. Carmarthen. Hello, Mags.
God. Oh, hello, Nick.
Mags.
Yes. I want to remonstrate with you.
Remonstrate away.
Right. I'm very concerned about Jonathan from Harrow, and I don't think you're addressing this issue.
Right.
Yes. Well, I mean, you must have deeply offended him. Or maybe actually, apart from being incredibly broke, because he's always telling everybody, could he be one of these multi-millionaires?
Yeah, maybe that's right. You may have hit the nail on the head there, Mags.
I think so. Don't you think, somebody ought to do an intervention here?
Somebody ought to go, send out a search party?
I think so.
For Jonathan from Harrow?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that he may be gone for good.
Well, that's really sad, though, isn't it?
Oh.
Well, he was very funny, wasn't he?
Yeah. Are you going to be okay?
Am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
I'll manage.
You're going to manage?
Maybe I'll do my own intervention.
Yeah. I mean, you're upset, but let's not get carried away. You're not that upset.
I do think about him.
Right.
Oh, must be a little bit upset, mustn't I?
Yeah, I suppose so. But,
He was a highlight at the weekend,
Right.
and you've done away with him.
I haven't done away with him. I just asked if he had ever heard of somebody else. I can't remember the name now. And there was a long silence, and then that was the end of it.
I have listened to that call. Was it John from Southall or something like that? I've listened to it several times.
Yes.
And I don't think it sounds a bit like Jonathan from Harrow.
Yeah, but you haven't heard the caller that I was referring to.
Yes, I have. I listened to it. You put it on your I can't remember what it's called. One of your podcasts.
Yeah, the Nick Abbot Habit. Yeah.
Yes, that. And I've listened to it lots of times.
Yeah.
And I don't think it sounded like Jonathan from Harrow.
I'm telling you, Mags, I am a professional. You're going to have to trust me.
I'm sorry, I don't. Doesn't sound like it. I don't think it
Right. Well, it totally was. So there is that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, chin up, Mags.
Yes. All right then.
All right. Thanks a lot. Okay. Cheers, Millie.
Thank
all
you.
right.
Bye-bye.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Because alcohol will solve all of your problems.
Booze.
Cheer up, Mags. It might never Oh, no. That's right. It already has. Angela in Carlisle says Snoop Dogg is getting a fair bit of stick on Twitter. Apparently he's doing a turn at Trump's inauguration. Snoopy Dog. No, he's done one already. And it was an inauguration associated event. Not the inauguration itself. It was crypto coin. You know, those dudes. It's a scam. Don't get sucked in. If you weren't there at the beginning, you've missed the train. Yeah, he did a turn at a $5,000 a seat crypto dudes event. Snoopy Dog. I'm I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest, but then he was already selling all sorts of things. I mean, I think on the scale of being disappointed at musicians, I think Johnny Rotten trumps Snoopy Dog. I think I'm more upset at Johnny Rotten than Snoop Dogg, to be honest. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. Let me take this moment to remind you, just as that nice lady was referring, I do have a best-of podcast, which is called The Nick Abbot Habit. It's a half an hour of concentrated amusement, and it comes out on a Monday. I think you'll love it. The Nick Abbot Habit. It's on Global Player, and wherever you get your podcasts, ask for it by name on an internet near you. The Nick Abbot Habit.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
0345 6060 973. York. Hello, Claire.
Hi.
Claire.
Oh, I've got quite a lot I wanted to tell you about. I've been watching all the Trump cabinet hearings this week.
Oh, yes.
Well, some of them are quite worrying and some of them are just funny, but I'll start with Pete Hegseth, the defence, the slandering...
The talk show host on TV, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he refused to rule out the use of US military against its own citizens as well as us NATO allies.
Yeah.
And he was asked this by a Democrat. And then the following question was from a Republican senator. So you'd think the Republican senator would have thought that was alarming and wanted to follow up on it. But no, the next two top questions from the Republican were, how many genders are there? And then he asked, his second question, top question was, how many push-ups can you do?
You're kidding.
And then he said, and woke is weakness.
Right. And what's your favourite colour?
Yeah. And so at that point, I just thought, America is really now back in the Flintstones era.
Yeah, it's a cartoon now. It's one of those really scary cartoons that's on late at night on Channel 4, but it's a cartoon all the same. Yeah, there's silly people, and they don't deserve to be running a bath, let alone a country.
And people, I keep hearing people calling up on other shows saying, "Oh, it doesn't. I don't care about Trump. It doesn't affect us."
Right.
I mean, honestly, there isn't anything more that could affect us than what is happening right now in America. It's really quite frightening.
Yes, wake up, sheeple. It's later than you think.
And Trump has just ordered Mike Johnson, the Speaker of Congress, to oust the chair of the Intelligence Committee, which is supposed to be independent of the White House and equal. Congress is equal, but independent. And he's ousted him because Mike Turner is highly respected and supports Ukraine and its aid, and he condemns Putin. And obviously Putin is Trump's friend, and now he's replaced that chair.
Yeah, I don't know about friend. I think boss might be a better way of putting it, because the moment that Donald Trump was elected, on Russian state television, they showed naked pictures of Donald Trump's wife, Melania, on TV, on the news, in Russia, on state television. Now, if that is not Vladimir Putin reminding Donald Trump who's boss, I don't know what is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's frightening. Now, Pam Bondi, who's going to be the Attorney General, she wouldn't rule out refusing to carry out an unconstitutional act demanded by Trump, as Bill Barr did when he refused to lie about the stolen election. She said she wouldn't admit that she would do the same.
Essentially, all of these people are going to get a job, and they're going to gut the entirety of the American institutions and replace them with facilitators, essentially, those people who will not say no to any half-baked thought that flits across Donald Trump's mind.
You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. I'm the President of the United States. Don't ever talk to the President that way.
I'll never talk to the President that way.
And she even alluded to the idea of there being a third term.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he ain't going after this term.
And then have you seen the Washington Post has now replaced their mission statement. Their mission statement always used to be at the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness.
In darkness, yeah.
And this week they've replaced it with riveting storytelling.
No way.
Yes, and in my eyes, storytelling is most often used in the context of fiction, and I think that about sums it up, really. So, I mean, they're all obeying in advance. All these media platforms, all these billionaires, it's an absolute oligarchy now in America. It's just frightening. It really is frightening, and that could be heading our way if people don't wake up to what's happening with Farage and all his cronies. It's really quite frightening.
Yes, well, we have essentially been taken over by a bunch of whining mummies boys, these tech bros who've, by sheer dumb luck, acquired massive amounts of money with which they have now almost enacted a world coup. And the bits that they haven't got yet, they have their eyes on, and we are one of, if not the greatest prize that they're looking at. Because the European Union are too powerful to engage in that kind of behaviour to the EU. So they're picking off those who are bobbing about lonesome on the sea, friendless, and that's us, that is. Plus, we also speak English, so they kind of understand most of what we say.
The weaker they make us, the more powerful they are. The weaker they make the country, the more the bigger fish that they're the bigger fish in a small pond kind of thing. I mean, what's so ironic is the newspapers that are always trying to sell Farage to us as being someone who supports the ordinary person, and now trying to sell to us in the paper today that we should all be really upset about millionaires having to leave the country. I mean, it just there's no sense whatsoever. You know, that one hand, you know, they're the championing the ordinary person, and yet we're all supposed to be in tears over millionaires leaving the country. And it was actually quite shocking. I was watching CNN last night, and they went to this school in Kentucky, which is they went to this county, which is the poorest county in the whole of America. And this school, they went into this school, and they were interviewing the principal and the superintendent, and they were saying, yeah, the children are really poor here. They may not eat again, you know, after they leave on Friday till they turn up again on Monday. And the reporter was saying, you know, you do know that Trump is threatening to cut public school funding, and they said, how will that affect your school? And they said, oh, it would be dreadful, but he won't do that. And then they asked, who did you vote for? And they said, oh, we voted for Trump. You know, we believe in Trump.
Well, what is cruelly ironic is that his voters are the ones that are going to suffer most from everything that he's about to do to America. The rich people of higher intelligence live on the coasts, because that's where, just like you could say the same for London. People leave, some tiny village in the middle of nowhere. If they have great skill or they're bright, they leave and go to the city. That's where the high flyers go. There's no point in being a high flyer in the middle of absolutely nowhere if you're the only person living within 5 miles. What's the point? So you take your skills and you go to London in this country, or Manchester or Birmingham, someplace like that. In America, you go to the coasts. And so all of those people on the coasts, the states that are crammed full of people, they vote Democrat. And they have a higher IQ overall than people who did not leave Oshkosh Bagosh in the middle of nowhere in what they call the flyover states, which are, by comparison to the coasts, sparsely populated.
Even the union workers were voting for Trump, who explicitly has said and Elon Musk want to bust the unions. And also, you had a caller last night who was saying about how, in America they seem to be normalising this Greenland invasion, and they absolutely are. I watch CNN a lot, and they have some really good, respected journalists, anchors on there who I really like, but even they were sort of like trying to say, well, there are legitimate reasons for what he's talking about. And
it's just distraction. It's just distraction. He's going to say, I'm going to invade Canada, I'm going to invade Mexico, and I'm going to take Greenland, and I'm going to steal back the Panama Canal, and all of this stuff. And it's just distractions. He's not going to do any of those things.
No, but it's the normalisation of even talking about it. Okay. It's like how once, like the BBC pretends to be balanced and centrist, and then talked about Brexit like it was, something legitimate to discuss.
Well, it was legitimate to discuss, but maybe the way in which they discussed it was, in hindsight, perhaps not the best. Claire, I've got to go, but thanks for that. In a dramatic shift this weekend, the Washington Post unveiled a new mission statement, riveting storytelling for all America. They're telling stories. By what measure does that differ from fake news? Well, let me restate my case. I am cancelling my subscription. It's going to be the New York Times for me from now on. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laugh.
I don't believe I've ever met him. I'm pretty sure I didn't meet him, and I just don't know anything about him.
I can't believe that the Washington Post is now doing this. I mean, this is absolutely extraordinary. First of all, they cut the front page when they were going to endorse Kamala Harris on the insistence of the owner. And then they refused to print a cartoon mocking the tech bros, bowing at a statue of Donald Trump and offering him money. They refused to run that. And so their cartoonist of over a decade quit. And now they've changed their new slogan. It used to be democracy dies in darkness, I think. Democracy dies in darkness. Hang on a minute. And now it's, democracy dies in darkness. And now it's riveting storytelling for all of America. You've got to be kidding me. Riveting storytelling for all of America. I'm reading this in the Hindustan Times, which I commend to the House. And it says, one commentator on X lamented, the Washington Post was a great historic newspaper. I thought being bought by a billionaire would protect its solvency and integrity, but billionaires needing to ass-kiss Trump to protect their interests has put an end to that, one of the many things to mourn. Yeah, it was the paper that did for Richard Nixon. And now they're kissing up to Donald Trump. Who's worse. And another comment says, Bezos, the owner, the Amazon guy, he had to decide what was more important, American democracy or his hobby space business to impress the ladies. Yeah. New York Times for me from now on, for an American source. Thanks for letting me know.
Thank you.
Jeff, where your priorities lie. 0345 6060 973. This text says, of course the wealthy are leaving the UK in droves, just like locusts. They're moving on because they've stripped this country bare. Yeah, I can't say that we'll miss them. So some millionaires leave. That's great. That means things will be less expensive for the rest of us. They're not wealth creators, they're wealth hoarders. If they've got enough money to leave, then they've got enough money to stay and pay their staff just a tiny little bit more. I mean, don't worry, millionaires, your staff still won't be able to afford to live a good life, if that's what you're concerned about. 71p an hour, ain't much. Don't spend it all in the same place. Oh, no, too late. Matt in Worcester says, I'm a millionaire that's left the country, but I'll be back Wednesday next week. Okay, we'll hold a parade. Let's have Macclesfield. Hello, Sue.
Hello there, Nick.
Hello there, Sue.
Yes, just listening to all this politics and
yeah, I know. Politics, eh?
boring. People trying to escape to nature, and I'm afraid I've got a bad word about nature.
What?
Everyone's talking about it like it's so soft and fluffy.
No, it isn't.
But it's harsh.
It is harsh, yeah.
It is harsh, and should come with a warning.
Yeah, dog eat dog. Literally.
Yeah, I did my garden up a few years back, and I nicknamed it Midsummer Garden after a few months.
Midsummer?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that sounds nice.
Yes, there's that many murders going on.
Oh, that kind of midsummer.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, well, that's feeding, isn't it? We are so lucky as a species not to have to go out and actually kill things with our bare hands in order to get dinner.
Yeah.
And it's only us. Just us alone. Only we do that. Every other species on Earth has to either kill something or constantly eat all day long. Only us have removed ourselves, not only from the food chain, nothing really eats us because we've done for anything that will, endanger us, unless it's really microscopically small, and that will probably be the thing that, does for the human race, something that we can't see.
Yeah.
Rather than something with big teeth that is going to wait for us outside the supermarket and nab us on the way to the car. We've done for all those things. But, we are so fortunate not to have to eat all day long, every day, in order to survive. We can just go to the supermarket once a week and we put things in the fridge and just, have a nice snack when we want while we do other things. How wonderful to be a human and to be alive, eh?
Yeah, let's hope it stays that way.
Exactly, yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Sue.
All right.
Ta-da.
Okay.
0345 6060 973. This text says, I bet vultures are not as ugly and hideous as baby pigeons. Those things are absolutely atrocious looking. Yeah, they are. They really are. Awful. Owls look like ghosts when they're babies. Pigeons are just the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life, which is probably why you've never seen a baby pigeon. They're just too embarrassed to go out. Until they get all their grown-up feathers. Hideous things. Really awful. Andrew says, did you notice how the Telegraph and the Mail missed the stories about borrowing costs coming straight back down, growth returning, and a recommendation from the IMF that investors choose the UK? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they were too busy reporting about what Meghan Markle has done recently. No! Yeah, and coming up with nicknames for Rachel Reeves. Did you see that picture of Liz Truss in New York?
Absolutely.
I think somebody, I don't know, does she have close friends? I think somebody should have a chat with her, just see if she's okay, because, it doesn't really seem like she is. At all. Ellie says, good evening, Nick. An article in the Times on January the 16th had a quote from Kemi Badenoch. She was talking about Brexit and said, there are many opportunities in areas like tech and AI, even in farming with novelty foods. Do you know what farming with novelty foods means? I'm really confused. Sending a smile, says Ellie. No, I have no idea. But I do know that that's what she meant to say, because Kemi Badenoch does not make gaffes. Dorset, Hillary.
Hello, Nick.
Hillary.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for making your call.
Anytime. You had a strange woman on last night who started off with, I'm a woman.
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
And she said she was a PhD in, chemical engineering.
Oh, yeah.
And she said she's researching into making food out of plastic and chemicals.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that now, yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't believe it, and I couldn't believe it either.
No.
But I've since found out that they actually are.
They're making food out of plastic?
Yes, and they're winning prizes for it.
Now, they're winning prizes for their ability to make food out of plastic, or the taste of the food?
For the research, I think.
Right. Food, plastic. Let's see what the internet says. What is food plastic? Is food-grade plastic really safe? Well, not to eat.
No,
Where did you find this information?
I found it on the internet.
Whereabouts?
Are they really making food out of plastic? And that came up with plastic in food.
Right. Wait a minute. Are they really making food out of plastic? Oh, voice search has been turned off. Why is that then? Oh, God, it's so difficult. Modern technology. I hate it. Are they really making food out of plastic? One moment. Much of our food is actually grown on plastic mulch.
No, that's not it.
That's not it.
Anyway, I found it. I can't remember the name of the publication, but if you look up, put the word prize in for making food out of plastic.
One moment.
Prizes won.
Prizes for making food out of plastic. How much does making something out of plastic cost? No. What is the real price of getting rid of plastic packaging? No. I think that you have maybe dreamt this.
No, I haven't.
Well, I can't. How much do restaurants spend on food packaging? No. Hidden price of plastic, uncovering an environmental... No. I think you have maybe been hallucinating, Hillary.
No, I haven't. I'm going to send it to you on WhatsApp, the link.
How many fingers am I holding up?
5.
It's the right answer. So there's nothing wrong with your eyes. Well, leave it with me and I'll see what I can find, all right?
Okay.
All
nice
right.
to talk to you.
Cheers, my dear. Thanks a lot, Hillary. Food out of plastic. Anybody want some? Robert says, Nick, I live in Los Angeles and I think with processed food I eat about 30 credit cards of plastic a day. But with the fires and the bad LA air quality, it might be more. Yeah, one of the most extreme changes in my life was I spent a month in Oregon, living out in the middle of nowhere, and it was one of the cleanest places I've ever been. It was just absolutely sparkling. And at night, it was remarkable. You could actually see the Milky Way at night. I mean, it was just the air had a real sparkle about it. There was no pollution there at all. And then I got in a car and I hitched down to LA and got dropped in the middle of LA, I mean, as much as LA has a middle, downtown, and I could barely breathe. I actually thought I was going to die. It felt like breathing soup. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. How could anybody live there, I thought. This says, we bought tickets to see Peter Kay coming this June. We booked them in February 2022. Blimey. They were the earliest ones we could get. You're kidding. Now, is he the guy that went away for a while, cancelled his tour and went away, or is he actually selling tickets 3 years in advance? That doesn't seem probable or likely or possible even. How would he know what he's doing 3 years hence? I know I don't. This says, Nick, I would phone up if my mobile didn't sound like it came from Jupiter via Chernobyl. Well, thanks for not calling. Appreciate your cooperation. 0345 6060 973. Oh, I have the Trump inauguration schedule, which I would like to share with you in just moments.
This is LBC, leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
Yes, we're about to be led by a big sack of monkey nuts. Cornwall. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
You're going to want to score some you-know-what after this call.
Yes.
On the news, I don't know if you've seen it, Musk, he is starting to make news, not of the good variety. And you may have seen this. The first one, SpaceX, this evening, has been grounded. And I think Bezos might be wondering whether he should have stuck with the Dems.
Grounded? What do you mean grounded?
Well, SpaceX, Musk's rocket thing, is grounded because his rocket exploded yesterday. Have you not seen it?
It blew up, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite pretty, actually. It's the world's most expensive firework.
Yeah, and the Turks and Caicos and the US are now investigating what the hell's going on.
Right. Well, these things, things just blow up every now and again. No big deal.
Yeah.
As long as you aren't on it.
Right. No, yeah, but it's a story, isn't it,
Yeah.
The big one, Nick, is in Los Angeles, and it's the Tesla cars and their batteries and the cleanup. And a big part of people not being allowed to go back to their properties is because in the Los Angeles region, there's 430,000 Tesla cars. In the city alone, 430,000 battery-powered Teslas.
Yeah.
And they literally stopped people from going back to their properties to see if they could find any belongings, personal things, because the properties were too dangerous to go back into. Now, there'd be dangers from computers and things like that, but a big part of it is cars. And the other aspect was that these cars, when they catch fire, they take a massive amount of water to put the fires out.
Yes, I've seen one. Not a Tesla, but I've seen, and they had it on. Not the Grand Tour. It was. I think it was when they were still doing that car show. Top Gear.
Yeah, Top Gear.
Top Gear.
Yeah.
Hammond flipped a battery car, and it burst into flames, and I think it was still burning like about a week later.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing was. Musk took Trump, didn't he, a while back to a launch to watch the claw catching the rocket fuel or whatever, the engines. Do you remember that?
No.
And it failed, so they had to drop it into the sea. So Musk slightly had egg on his face there because he took Trump to see the big deal, only the big deal didn't work.
Right.
But the other day, look, it was only last night, I think, or the night before, I saw on the news that there had been a successful test, which is why this evening I was shocked to find that another rocket has actually exploded into smithereens. But this Los Angeles thing, this is big news because there's the cleanup look from his cars is going to be unbelievably expensive because they can't send in a bulldozer and do this, that, and the other. This is going to have to be cleaned up really, really carefully because the other thing is that they've said if this stuff washes into the ocean, it is really, really dangerous stuff, apparently, once it's burned.
Right, well, I don't know anything about that. And it's not necessarily just Teslas, it's battery cars in general.
Any car, yes. But the point I make is, he is by far the biggest one, isn't he?
Yes, he sells more battery cars than anybody else at the moment. Yeah. But in California, I very much doubt that will continue to be the case because he has allied himself with the enemy as far as Californians and, people on the coast in general. And what's weird is that here's a guy who's selling a product to eco-woke hippie types who are the opposite of those people who support Donald Trump. Trump supporters think that battery electric cars are woke, and they won't go near them. That his market are the people that he's turning off buying his main product. It's not. I mean, people talk about this guy as though he's a genius. Everything he does seems to make him sound stupider and stupider.
But that's part of the point I raised it, was because all of this now, he's obviously famous for the Tesla cars, but this and the cleanup is going to stop, it'll make people think twice about buying an electric car, because if, they think they're doing the right thing in being environmental friendly and all the rest of it.
Turns out they're not.
Then and it turns out in Los Angeles, this may well be an absolutely monumental environmental disaster.
Right. Well, we'll find out. Yeah.
There's two stories there, I think, where, with tomorrow fast approaching, the big man's got egg on his face, hasn't he?
Is that what that is? All right, thanks a lot, Malcolm. As the smoke clears from devastating Los Angeles wildfires, efforts to clean up the affected areas are being complicated by burnt-out electric and hybrid vehicles and home battery storage systems, says the Financial Post, which I think is an American publication aimed at money people. Lithium batteries from Tesla, along with those from other car makers, have added to the mix of toxic materials requiring specialised removal in the wake of the fires. They will delay the fire victims' return to their properties. A lot of the cars in the evacuation area were lithium batteries, says a state assembly member. We've heard from firefighters that those lithium batteries burned fires near homes like those with power walls for much longer. 431,000 Teslas in the Los Angeles area. Each and every one of those owners reconsidering their options, I bet, in the light of the head of Tesla putting his all in with Donald Trump, their enemy. He just doesn't seem to be the genius that other people are portraying him as. Not to my eyes, anyway. This says, I've signed your book for you to save you the time. If any of these idiots would like to give me $2,000, please forward my PayPal address live on the air. Absolutely. This says, back in 2006, American Motown legends, the Four Tops, were due to play a gig in Chelmsford that got unexpectedly cancelled after the band turned up at Cheltenham Town Hall instead, much to the chagrin of their road crew who had been working all day setting up 140 miles away. Oops. Alan from the Isle of Wight says, those cola bottles to commemorate Trump's return to power, mentioned last night, missed one fact. They will be filled with iron brew to recognise his love of Scotland and to provide a reminder of what shade of treacle tart looks like. They should have made it iron brew, yeah. And Richard in Seaford says, listen to your caller about how millionaires are supposedly leaving the UK every 45 minutes. It gave me an immigration idea. As non-doms are either wealthy immigrants or fake Brits who only stay 90 days a year, so patriotic, it would be good to introduce a are you really committed to the UK test for the millionaires when they want to come back? Herded into Calais and put onto flimsy boats with paddles, they would have to row themselves over here and then stay a week in an asylum seeker's so-called hotel as a hopeless Manuel-style waiter to ensure that they have the British work ethic. That, or return to Monaco or whichever tax-free dump that they've crawled out from. Yeah, exactly. Those people leaving for tax havens, they're going to be so upset that there's nothing to do when they get there. What's the point of having a ton of money if there's nothing to spend it on? But stupidly expensive restaurants that you can't get a seat in, even if you do have money, in a place as small as Monaco. Those people are out of their minds. And as for the United Arab Emirates, well, don't even get me started. Don't get me started. David Paul says, have you seen the heated hoodies sold by Silent Night? They are so warm and cosy, I look forward to the freezing temperatures. A heated hoodie? Wow, count me in. And Yilmaz says, I am sick of the way that people on the right wing of politics seem to think that their policy should continue even though their party lost the general election. Yeah, that's right. That's what happens when you lose an election. You don't get to see your policies continue. They need to stop whinging and just suck it up like people in the Labour Party have had to do over the last 40 years. Correct amundo. Yes, Kemi, you lost. Get over it. Let's see now. Rochester. Hello, Lulu.
Oh, Nick. Hello, darling.
Lulu.
How are you?
I am great, mate.
Oh, excellent. So, I'm referring to Claire earlier. I think she's really intelligent and fabulous and very well informed. But, oh, my God, she's killed my buzz.
Who was Claire?
She was talking about all those hideous characters that Trump's appointed to do terrible things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, I was listening to that and I just wanted to jump out the window and I was feeling so good before she came on. So...
What floor are you living on, Lulu?
Ground floor.
Ground floor, go ahead.
You! No, the reason I wanted to call you, I had cataract surgery on Thursday and I just wanted to tell you, I feel so fabulous because I'm like the bionic woman now. I can see for miles.
Well, you like the Who. You like Roger Daltrey.
I don't like him. He's a Brexiter. But no, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I said to your glamorous assistant, I'm like the Bionic Woman. I said, you won't know who she is, you're too young. And he said, well, is she like the Bionic Man? And I thought, yeah, he's on the right track.
On the right track, yeah. Close, no cigar. Yeah.
Close, no cigar. But yeah, it was just a wonderful thing. 15 minutes, that's all it took.
Wow. And so beforehand, what could you see?
Well, I could see all right, but they were there and it was the time to get rid of, because they get to a point where you can't see anything. But so I had one done last year and I had the second one done on Thursday, and I'm just feeling great.
Is it a painful operation?
No, you don't feel anything. I mean, you're wide awake.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah. But they numb your eyes, so you don't feel anything. And then they sort of make a little slit in the eyeball and then suck out the lens and pop in a new one.
Oh.
And do you know the bonus of it all was I had a gorgeous Italian surgeon doing it.
Oh, hello. And you could see him clearly once he'd done his business.
I know, and I was just thinking, oh, God, I look such a mess. I wouldn't be able to pull him. But anyway, you can't have it always.
No, that's right, yeah. Well, I had eye surgery once, a long time ago, yeah. I was one of the first people in this country to have that laser correction surgery.
Oh,
and that
really?
was when it was not as it is now. Now they do pretty much like you just described. They make a cut and they peel back because what's over your eye is a see-through skin, essentially.
Yeah.
And so they peel back the skin and then they zap your eye with a laser, and then they roll the skin back again, and then it heals.
Ooh, wowza.
When I had it done, they didn't do that.
Oh.
They took a little metal hoop, like a little circle of wire on the end of like a pencil type of thing.
Yeah.
And they scraped the front of my eyeballs off.
Oh, yikes.
They scraped this. I mean, imagine somebody scraping your skin off on your hand and then multiply that by 1,000,000 times. It was the most painful thing I have ever had in my life. Twice.
That's horrific. Oh, my God, that's like torture. But didn't they numb your eye?
Yes, they numb your eye. But then, when you leave, you have to have to lie in a dark room for about 3 days because you can't move your head because your eyes move with your head. You can't stop your eyes moving. And only when you have that do you realise how much your eyes move, even if you're trying desperately not to move your eyes. And it was because the skin then had to grow back over the front of your eyeballs. It was, I can't express in words how painful it was.
So that must have been a long time ago.
It was a very long time ago, yeah. Having gone through it, though, it's the best thing I've ever done because, not having to wear glasses or contact lenses is marvellous.
Yeah, I imagine.
I'm glad for people that go through it now that it is not as painful as what I went through. But I was a brave soldier, Lulu,
you were a brave
I don't complain about it much.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Lulu. I want to go through the Trump inauguration schedule. I have detailed files.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Right, whatever.
This text says, I own a pub. 71p an hour plus the national insurance plus the lower national insurance threshold coupled with the 1p beer duty cut means a pint automatically became 10p increase. More expensive, I think you mean. Then suppliers have to put their price up, so a cost price will be 4p a pint. The pay rise is given in one hand but pushes everything up 60% more than the rise to cover costs. Did any of that make sense?
No.
Mark in Sheffield says, yes, officer, I was hiding in the bushes with my pockets full of meat because I heard on the radio that there are a lot of large birds around here. I don't think it would go down very well, says Mark in Sheffield, referring to something that we had on this show some while ago. This text says, hey, Nick, don't worry about the millionaires. The FTSE 100 hit a record high on Friday. Perhaps the UK is better off without them. Yeah, exactly, with their stupid haircuts. Better off gone. 0345 6060 973 East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. How are you doing?
I am great, mate.
Good. Did you recommend the Hindustan Times a little while ago?
I was reading from it. I can't say I recommend it. I don't know enough about it.
Well, I thought you recommended it, but I had a look at it. And one of the big stories going on at the minute is that Trump has already organised snatch squads to go into Chicago to grab illegal aliens.
That's right.
If the mayor doesn't help him out, he's going to prosecute him.
He's going to, yeah, exactly. Yeah, if he's going to prosecute them, the mayor for hiding illegal aliens. Yeah.
It's all about but he's only going to do 300. It's all about headlines for him.
Yeah.
It's the same as this Gaza thing. He's bullied Israel into agreeing. He's bullied Hamas into agreeing, so that on Inauguration Day, he's got a good headline. Those two don't want to do it. They are doing it reluctantly. It's not going to last 5 minutes.
No, I bet that's true. It's not going to last 5 minutes. Yeah.
It's all about him getting a headline. Everything's about him and headlines.
Well, he does. He's a TV star. I mean, people sort of. I know they don't forget it, but it's almost as though they willfully forget. He's a TV star. That's what he is. That's what he does. It's what he knows. He's not a politician. He's not really a businessman. He played a businessman on television. And everything is about audience and ratings and how you look on camera and all of that stuff. Don't look for depth or thought or planning or any of that stuff. He is as thin as he appears. He's as thin as I was going to say the makeup on his face. He's as thin as the as the hair on his head.
Don't be rude.
Don't look for depth because there ain't none.
No, people were asking earlier on today, what should our strategy be? How to deal with a Trump government? And I can tell them exactly. Do not try and come up with a strategy. You need to deal with every incident one at a time because he has no strategy. He will look at an incident and go, what can I plan myself? What good out of it? There is no point in trying to come up with a strategy. You're going to have to deal with each incident one at a time based on what makes Donald Trump look good.
Yeah. I mean, but in his defence, he does have... to say that he has no strategy is not fair.
There's no strategy. I have no strategy. There's zero strategy.
Yeah, on the other hand... It's just going to get worse and worse from this moment on, Mike. We're just going to have to accept that, and we're going to have to deal with it. One outrage at a time.
That's it, one outrage at a time. Yeah. There is no plan that we can put together.
No, there ain't no plan. No, we don't do plans, no. All right, thanks, Mike. Ta-da, 0345 6060 973. So here is the inauguration schedule. And today there's going to be a reception at Donald Trump's golf club in Virginia. And when I say today, I mean today then in America, which is, some while ago. Well, they're behind us. A reception at Donald Trump's golf club in Virginia, a $1 million donation to Trump Enterprises will get you an invitation. It's $2 million for a seat, $10 million if you want dinner. Those paying $20 million will get to see fireworks. Those paying $15 million will get to hear fireworks, but not see them. And then there will be a cabinet reception and vice president's dinner for, what's his name? The chap that's the vice president, the guy with the guy liner, looks weird, says weird things. I know that's not narrowing it down much, but he's the man that used to be Donald Trump's sidekick before Elon Musk pushed him out of the way. The chap with the money. I love money. On Sunday, there will be a wreath laying for the memory of the American dream.
The American dream is dead.
Donald will not attend because the wreath laying will be held at the tomb of the unknown soldier at the Arlington National Cemetery. He won't go because he prefers soldiers who aren't dead. They're losers. I don't like losers. Trump will instead hold a victory rally in Washington. Entry, $1 million for a restricted view seat. He's expected to say... would you prefer to be electrocuted by a boat's battery or eaten by a shark? What about the late, great Hannibal Lecter? Terrific guy. He had people for dinner.
They're eating the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
And then Trump will hold a candlelight dinner, making sure not to sit next to any open flames because the wig glue he uses is totally combustible.
I don't wear a toupee.
And on Monday morning, there will be a church service during which Bibles will spontaneously combust and lightning will strike the church spire and a thunderous voice will say, "No, not in my house." And Trump's fans will say that God is a lefty, woke, commie threat to the country and only Orange Jesus can save us. Followed by tea at the White House with the Bidens, who, in a departure from tradition, will not try to stage a coup, saying that the election was rigged and how it's totally unfair. That nobody ever saw such unfairness, believe me. Biden won't say that. And then there's the swearing-in ceremony. Well, hundreds of MAGA cultists who left their Arkansas shacks to see the Mango Mussolini will swear a lot when they hear that the ceremony is being held inside, because Donny heard that there were empty hotel rooms in the capital and he didn't want to have a smaller crowd than Obrien again. So he's going to be hiding inside. And don't ask Donny for a refund, because all ticket sales are final. That part's true, actually, by the way. They've sent a message out. You're not getting your money back. You can have your tickets as a souvenir. That's what he said. That's how much he cares for you. And then there's going to be a farewell ceremony for the concept of democracy, and Donald will do his grown-up squiggle with a Sharpie on any old piece of paper that's shoved in front of him, and then he'll make a speech in which he will bring the country together in hatred for unisex bathrooms and declare that his merchandise shop is now open. I have hats and Bibles, the best Bibles. God came to me, he said, "Sir." God said, "Sir, you have the best Bibles, my son." And I said, "Thank you. That'll be $75. And on Tuesday, there will be a national prayer service when the country will say, "God save America." But I think that ship has sailed and sunk. And all the best to those who were sailing in her. Better luck next time, if there is one. Rick in Manchester says, "Evening, Nick. On your recommendation, I downloaded Blue Velvet today, ready for watching. I didn't listen to your show last night because I watched the David Lynch classic Mulholland Drive." Yeah, I tried to watch that once, but maybe I was just in the wrong mood. I didn't get more than about 10, 15 minutes in. Incredible film, he says. Brilliant character development and depth. Very strange, very Lynchian. Also loved Dune and Lost Highway. Keep up the excellent abnormal normality. Well, Dune was just daft. David Lynch's Dune. That was a silly film. You know, the great directors can do rubbish. And I think that was probably it's the least successful of his films that I've seen. Mulholland Drive. Yeah, okay, well, I'll give it another go. Philip in Taunton says, "Hi, Nick. Trump's decision to hold his inauguration indoors to avoid the cold weather might be the right choice. In 1840, William Henry Harrison was elected as the 9th president. In his inauguration, he spoke for 2 hours in the bitter cold and the driving rain, refusing to wear a coat or a hat, and 30 days later he died of pneumonia." Could the two possibly be connected? Yeah, I think they might have been, yeah. Well, Donny was going to be wearing a coat and a hat, and he'd have like 6 layers of thermal underwear underneath, and he would have been just fine. Had nothing to do with the cold. It's all about the crowd size. Which is kind of disappointing, because I can't imagine that he would have a bigger crowd as Obrien first time around. I mean, he just wouldn't have done. So that's what that was about. I mean, it's always cold in Washington at this time of year. Always. You'd think they'd figure it out and have it at a more clement time, but they don't. Blooming freezing in Washington, D.C. And so it wasn't a surprise, and so pretending otherwise is here we come again with fake news. It started already. Matt in Lincoln says, my dog has been taken is a fantastic soundbite. If I'd had coffee in my mouth, I'd have spat it out at what I just heard now. What, this?
My dog's been taken.
That's the thing about him, is he is funny unintentionally. It's kind of annoying, really. Sean in Brighton says, Trump's face is the same colour as Kung Pao chicken, overcooked and unappetising. I don't know, I could go with a dish of Kung Pao chicken right now. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Words that begin with C and rhyme with skunk. Clunk, chunk, kaplunk, and Philomena Kunk. Yeah. That is also in reference to something that happened some time ago on this show. You'll have to listen to the catch-up. The catch-up is, it's called Nick Abbot The Whole Show Podcast. And it's only available on Global Player. Now, if you don't have Global Player, then it is free, and it's from your App Store or globalplayer.com. And the Friday and Saturday night shows get put up the internet as a podcast. That's what you want to listen to. You want to listen to the podcast, Nick Abbot, The Whole Show Podcast. Now, the idea is we take the news and most of the ads out, mostly, which means it's quicker to listen to, which will give you more time to think of words that begin with C and rhyme with skunk.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Come on, we're running late.
Gabriel says, my fire alarm low battery beep started at 3 a.m. last night. They always go off at 3 a.m. He said, it took me 10 minutes to get the back off, to get the battery, since it is so close to the corner of the ceiling. Only for the safety beeps, once the battery was out, to kick in for another 10 minutes.
Oh, no.
They're so annoying. Why do they have to be so annoying? Why is it so annoying to save your life? And Sarah in Baltimore says, I'm visiting London for the first time ever this week. I arrive on Monday. I'm escaping the US to get away from the Tangerine Scream's inauguration and the first week of deranged executive orders. Do you have any must-do recommendations for London? Yes, do London, Sarah, while you're here. Promise me you'll do that. Let's have Ranjit in Oldbury. Yes, Ranjit.
Hi, mate. You all right?
Yes, good, thanks.
Good. It's nice to listen to a few new of your callers, yeah?
Yes.
Which was good, yeah. Okay. You know, just before I get to my main couple of points, yeah, you know, regarding Jonathan, yeah, okay, I remember when I was learning to drive the trucks, yeah, around Wolverhampton and Kidderminster, you had to make sure that you looked out for all the road signs, yeah, and at the time, I think it was probably about 1998, and I think on Coronation Street, Deirdre was locked up or something. And everywhere people had put up some signs, free Deirdre. Right? Okay. Yeah. You know, the dinglings, yeah?
Yeah.
And you know what? As I'm driving, I had to concentrate. And I asked the instructor, I says, mate, what's all that about? He says, you don't want to know, mate. He says, that's something that's it. So I think I want to start a campaign, right? We're going to put road signs up everywhere, right, which says, Jonathan, please call in. All's forgiven. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And he I remember that call. It was John from Streatham or something like that.
Yeah.
He said, right. Yeah. You know, you unmasked him, right? So that was his alter ego.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan, if you're listening, mate, you know what? He did apply for a job as peeling the potatoes. He had to sack his butler and his chauffeur and everything.
Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, going back to the Don. Yeah, Donny. Yeah. You know, like Farage has gone abroad, yeah, now he's going to be there. You know, when you have a wedding, right, you have seating arrangements and everything.
Yeah.
You have your exes on one side and whatever, right? I just want to know where Nigel Farage comes in, right? Is he in the inner circle, the outer circle, in Washington or in the state of Washington?
Yeah.
Or is he in one of the little hotels, right?
Yeah, watching it on TV.
Right, and you know what? Say for Elon Musk, right? When you have corridor talk, right? And he's just mingling with Melania.
Mingling.
And he says, mingling, yeah, right. And he says to Melania, "Do you know that mine's bigger than Donald Trump's?"
Oh.
Right? She's going to be wondering. And he goes, "Oh, I'm on about bank balance."
Right.
Right. And then she meets what's his name, Obama. He says, "Do you know mine?"
Hang on, Roger. I fear I know where you're going with it.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to be rude.
Okay, then.
No. Right? So them kind of things are going to wind up, right, Donald Trump. And I think where you said 6 months' time, he'll fall away from...
tops. I said tops. 6 months tops.
Yeah, okay. So when he hears comments like that, right, and he was also looking for that, word to describe that rhymes with what you call it, yeah? Okay. When people say, like, Cockney, it's a bit of a Gregory, that means pain in the neck, yeah?
Oh, Gregory Peck, right.
Yeah, Gregory Peck. Do you remember, Susanna Reid one day was talking about Jeremy Hunt, and she used the wrong word, right? So I'm not going to go... So if you want to describe someone, say, oh...
Yeah, okay, all right. Got it, Transit, got it. Okay, just keen to walk right on the edge there. A little bit too close for me. All right, thanks a lot, Ranjit. Got to go. Carl in Hailsham says, woodpeckers, amazing. Look at the picture of their heads and where their tongues go. What? It was one of the proofs of evolution. Someone important found it out. It? What it? This one, on the same subject from Islington in London, Bill says, Nick, woodpeckers have a specially adapted tongue that actually wraps around the back of their skull to act like a shock absorber for their brain and spine while they're going at it. Really? I'm going to decide not to believe that until proven otherwise. A tongue, you say? Hey, Melania, woodpeckers have got a very long tongue.
I don't care.
She actually is not that bothered. Not remotely interested, as a matter of fact. This says, maybe Trump thinks all the clocks in America will have to be banned because they TikTok. Ugh. This says, when we win $1 million or $2 on the lottery, I won't be telling the government I am leaving. I won't even be telling my wife. You'll find out eventually, I suppose. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Well, hi, Nick.
Yes, Jan.
Gosh, where to start? I was going to say something about millennia, but I think I'll come say something about Trump first, because he seems. I'm sure he's going to be a bit of a weather vane with everyone.
What does that mean?
You know, well, I mean, for instance, just reading about what he says, what he actually talked to the president of China. And everything he was doing before he talked to him, it was like, oh, he's got to strengthen American security in the Panama Canal and in Greenland, yeah. Because China, they're important to American security.
Hang on a minute. Can you hear that thumping? Was that you?
That?
Hang on a minute. Was that you?
Me?
Yeah, I've got an issue with my phone.
Oh.
It sounded like you were trying to dig through the floor. An issue with your phone. How is stamping curing that?
Basically, for some reason, I've got this green screen and it won't come off. And the only way I've ever been able to get it off is to slap my phone. But now, for some reason, it's not coming off.
Slapping it? It didn't sound like you were slapping it. It sounded like you were taking the building apart.
I didn't realise it was going to come through, to be honest.
Right. Okay. Well, sorry about that, Jan.
Are you still there?
No.
Nick, all right, I'll try and be quick because we're trying to something out.
Isn't it?
It's just that. For instance, he's shifting around. I think he's going to be like a weather vane, yeah, because he wants to. He's saying that I'll do everything possible to President, the Chinese president, that he'll do everything in the world to make. We'll do everything, both of them.
Wait a minute, back up. Hang on. Wait.
Sorry.
Who is a weather vane?
Trump, because
right.
he's now saying he spoke to the Chinese, the president of China,
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he's saying he's saying to him, both of them will do. Well, the president Xi and I will do everything possible to make the world a peaceful, safe place. Whereas he's
we're doomed.
But he's like. I don't think everything's going to be easy going between Musk and him. Because,
are you kidding? They're already falling out.
Yeah, that's it. Because look at Farage. I mean, Farage. Farage is finding favour with Trump because he's been invited to all three balls, the inauguration balls.
Yeah.
Whereas Musk was saying, "Oh, Farage is, he's not up to the job or he's not up to anything." Yeah. And then also this Jeff Bezos has done. I found it quite interesting because they're saying that Melania is admired. I didn't know what the word meant. She's a catnip for Americans who admire her glamour and fortune. Well, I didn't know what catnip meant.
Catnip is something that excites and delights. Yeah. Well, I think Melania is proof positive that that America needs immigrants to do the jobs that Americans don't want to.
No, but Nick, it's just that Jeff Bezos has done the Amazon guy. He's done a film of Melania.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So
I mean, talk about a suck up. That is pathetic. A film about Melania and all of her good deeds. Like, there was the time that she did. No, I've got nothing at all. Thanks a lot, Jan. 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 Thanks a lot, Jan.